going to go ahead and press the record button. That doesn't mean that other people won't join in here in just a little bit, but want to go ahead and get started. There's a few announcements that I do want to make as far as NASP Net goes. Next week, Monday in Brentwood, which will be March the 2nd. It's hard to believe we're already into March. Carrie Jeffries is going to be speaking to us, and I don't know what her program is, but it's always good. She is the sassy redhead, and she's always vivacious and full of energy, and she has a lot to share. And then in Murfreesboro, March 9th, Darryl, do you know who's going to be the speaker of Murfreesboro at the NASP on March 9th?
I have a guess.
Who is that?
That would be me.
That would be you. That would be you. So we get you twice within 2 weeks. I love that. That's great.
Awesome.
And Cindy, can you hear us?
It sounded like it seems like she is on, but maybe.
Well, we're going to go ahead and move forward. Yeah, she should be unmuted, at least on my end. It looks like she's unmuted. But so I'm just going to go ahead and turn things over to, you know him, you love him, the legend, the myth, the Pace. Darryl, thanks for joining us this morning. Our very first inaugural edition of NASP Quarterly, and our very first webinar. And you have a great program. What's the name of the program? And go ahead and take it away.
The name of the program that we're going to be talking about this morning is called Then, Now, and How. And there are a couple of selling principles that we'll discuss around that as well. And I'm excited about this. You are going to take away some skills that can help you dramatically increase the percentage of people that take the next step you want them to take at the end of your presentations. And of course, Blaine, you've heard of Craig Valentine.
Yeah, he's awesome, especially in the public speaking world and coaching. Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah. So an interesting part of Craig's history is that when he finished undergraduate school, his first year out, he had 5 jobs, and he failed at all 5 of them. And in his own words, he described himself as a serial failure. Well, he started working as a trainer or contractor for the National Seminars Group. And he would put on 1 to 2 day workshops. And in the National Seminars Group, of course, selling is a big deal. They want you to sell products like the audio version of the 7 Habits and things like that. And the big deal, or the reason this was huge for the instructors, is because whoever sold the most products would get put in front of the bigger audiences. And so, of course, that meant you could make more in commission. So Craig said to himself, I'm going to make this selling thing as scientific as possible. Now, before we go further, when a non-salesperson hears the word salesman or salesperson, what kind of images do you think come to mind?
Well, unfortunately, we usually will think of the used car salesman.
Exactly. And so Craig said, hey, I want to sell as much as possible, but I want to do it without ticking people off. I don't want to turn my audience off. I don't want to come across in that kind of used salesperson, mode. And so what he did was, his strategy was, he was going to take all the influence techniques he had learned from people like Bob Cialdini, and Bob Cialdini's book is called Influence, from Kevin Hogan. Kevin Hogan has a book called The Psychology of Persuasion. There's another guy named Joseph Sugarman. He took all these persuasion techniques, and he said, what would happen if he sprinkled them throughout his program? Well, the results of Craig's efforts were this. The National Seminars Group judged their instructors on what's called per cap, and which means how many dollars of product did the instructor sell per person in that instructor's room. The average management trainer made about $15 per cap, or $15 per person in the room. A great result would be $25 per cap. And some people got that every now and then. But as a result of the tools that Craig put into his workshops, he averaged, this is average, not just every once in a while, he averaged $42 per cap. So almost 3 times what, he averaged almost 3 times what the average instructor would get. There was only one person in the entire National Seminars Group company that outsold Craig, but that person got bad reviews. People would come out of his classes saying, hey, you know, this whole thing was an infomercial and things like that, right? And that was specifically what Craig didn't want.
But they still bought from them. That's what blows my mind.
It is. That's amazing.
People
I was thinking the same
they
thing.
bought from them. So what
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather leave at the end of the day with some cash in my new cash in my wallet and people like me.
Yeah.
Be turned off by me and begrudgingly buy.
Exactly. And so Craig formulated these principles into what he calls the SWAP principles. And SWAP is an acronym. SWAP stands for selling without annoying people. SWAP. So we're gonna talk about a few of those SWAP principles this morning. Those principles, they didn't just help Craig succeed at a high level with the National Seminars Group. They laid the foundation for Craig's current success. He's a businessman, he's a speaker, he's a best-selling author. His speaking fee is over $10,000 per speech. He speaks around the world, and he's been extremely successful. You can rest assured, Blaine and Cindy, the principles we're going to go over this morning, they're scientifically proven, and they will get people to take a next step. And so Craig teaches these principles for like, a few $1,000s a pop in one of his classes called the World Class Speaking course. And I'm going to share a couple of those principles with you right now. So a promise to you before we launch into this, if you learn and apply this method that you'll hear today, you will reduce or eliminate the hassle. In other words, there's no, bargaining, or there's no trying to close and things like that. You'll reduce that in your listener or client, and you'll dramatically increase the percentage of people that take that next step that you want them to. So we're going to cover the selling principle. We're going to cover the most important selling principle, the most profitable selling formula. Then we'll go over some tips, and then we'll end it. All right. The most important selling principle is this: never sell a product, always sell a result.
Yeah.
All right. And that product can be anything. It can be a service. It can be a physical product, whatever. If it's a service, never sell a service, always sell the result. If you're on a team, never sell a team, or never sell an idea, always sell the result. If you're a leader, never sell change, always sell the result. So an example of that is, we'll go through a couple of examples. We'll go through an example, if we can, with you, Blaine, but I'll tell you an example that I went through a long time ago. When I first was out of college, I was going to buy a car. I needed something that was inexpensive. I wasn't making much money, and I needed something to get me from point A to point B. I go to a Nissan dealership, and I'm looking at a Nissan Sentra. And a car salesman comes to me and he says, "Hey, I see you're looking at that car." I said, "Yeah." He says, "Tell me about yourself." I say, "Hey, I'm just out of school. I don't have that much money. I need something to get me to. I just started my job. I need something to get me to my job." He says, "Well, what are your goals?" And I said, "Well, I want to find out my job and hopefully go from there." He says, "Well, what are your big time goals?" I said, "Well, I want to own my own business one day, and this job is a stepping stone to that." And so anyway, we go sit down, and he says to me, he says, "You need something that's going to get you to your job reliably, right?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "You need something that's not going to break the bank. It'll still allow you to save and perhaps have a little extra money to go out with your friends. And you might be dating a girlfriend. You want to go out on dates and stuff." And I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "And you're going to need something, if you're going to make it to that next level, if you're going to be a business person, to see those clients, you need something that's going to get you to those clients." I said, "Yeah." He said, to start you on the road to that business, to have that extra money you want to hang out with your friends or take your girlfriend out, to do all those things, this car will do it for you. And I was like, hey, let me sign up. Because he sold and he pushed the results, building the business, going out with friends, having the extra money. He pushed those results instead of the product. He didn't go into a bunch of details about, okay, this car has this many horsepower, it can go 0 to 60 in this amount of time and that type of thing. He pushed the results. He sold me more the realization of my dream, or a vehicle to my dream, than the vehicle itself. And that's kind of what Craig has in mind when he says, always sell, or never sell a product, always sell the result.
Okay. And a lot of that, I think, goes to just really understanding your potential buyer, because had he just seen a young college guy and just assumed he wants a chick magnet,
Right,
he
right.
made the sale, but he got to know you.
Exactly. So let's go through a real quick example. Blaine, your product, the one that I'm familiar with, you have management seminars, correct?
Yes.
Okay. What is the result that the attendees of your seminars will realize as a result of the information you're going to give them?
Well, I can talk about a number of things, and I do talk about morale, but even at morale, the end result really is productivity.
Okay.
That's the bottom line.
And that productivity, that's productivity within that manager's company, right?
Right. Right.
Okay. And that productivity, of course, would then lead to what?
More sales.
More sales. Okay. So that, of course, would lead to, I guess, the manager becoming more successful, making more money, I guess, in the long run, or perhaps the short run, those types of things, right?
Yeah.
So so those are the ultimate end results, that productivity that will help that manager reach an even higher level of success with his organization, with his income, he would help his company become more successful. Those are those end results that your product could help that manager achieve. And one of the ways to get to the end result, Craig says to always ask, so that you can. So you have that manager, he's gonna achieve or realize more productivity as a result of applying the principles that you give him. That productivity is realized so that he can what? Make his organization more sales. And of course, really, that I guess beyond that, it doesn't really have to be stated, because people know that if you make more sales, it means more money and all that stuff, right? All right. Let's see, how are we on time here?
We're doing good. We're about halfway through.
Okay. All right, that's the first thing. The most important selling principle is never sell a product, always sell a result. And one more tip about the principle: always put the result before the resource if you're making a pitch. In other words, if the guy was going to, let's take the car dealer, for example. If he was going to pitch the car to me, and he'd ask those questions, right? The questions that he asked me, he could say, to get to your business reliably, to help build that business, to get to your job, to have the extra money that you need so you'll have a little extra to go out with your friends and to take your girlfriend out. Those are the results. You could use this car to do that, right? So he would have the results first, followed by the resource. That's in a pitch.
Okay. Can we go a little deeper with that? I know we've got a lot of things to cover, but for me, I am so left-brained that I personally get hung up on all the details, and we're talking about features versus benefits. And if I'm just impressed with my service or my product features that I'm trying to sell, it's like I just unconsciously begin selling to me. But they don't care about that. They want the benefits. How can they utilize that? you just go into what the resource versus results again. I know it sounded like the guy who sold you the car was reiterating essentially
Yes.
what you just told him.
Yeah, he did. He did. And as you stated just a few minutes ago, you there has to be, I guess, some knowledge of what your audience is looking for, right? So because your audience is going to consist of people who are interested in management training, and you know this because of the title of the seminar and how the seminar is described. Only those people that are interested in what that seminar is titled as are going to come to that seminar. And you can say then, or you can make certain assumptions based on that. Those are managers that want to get more out of their employees. They want more productivity, and they want that so that they can what? Really so that they can succeed at a higher level. They want that so that that group will do well within their company. You know, that's going to help their company, which in turn will help that manager. So you would push the benefits of helping your employees to become more productive, which we'd have to do a little brainstorming. It takes a little brainstorming to get this right, but those benefits that we talked about, which will cause them to sell more, cause your group to rise within the company if they're not already in the top. That if they are at the top, they'll distance themselves. If they're not at the top, it'll help them to rise toward the top as far as productivity and sales made. And of course, that will in turn help the manager in his career. So those are the benefits that you could emphasize, and then you could say, here's how you do that with this seminar. And we're getting ready to go through the then, now, and how formula, all right? And this will get a bit more into how you can have an entire seminar or a 1 hour program or 1 hour presentation that will help to lead your audience to an end result. Okay, so the never selling a product, always sell the result. That's the most important selling principle. The most profitable selling formula is the then, now, and how formula. And then, now, and how is somewhat like, if you think of a diet commercial, you know how you see diet products, or a P90X commercial, they show the before picture, they show the after picture, and then of course their product is the way that gap between before and after is bridged. Well, the before picture is the then. The after picture is the now, and the product, and you know, in P90X's case, P90X, the program, that's the how. And you would do this using your story or the story of one of your clients, and you do this in your presentation. Okay, and I'll give you an example. I'll use one of my talks, one that maybe I'll do it at NASP, or I'll do a portion of this. So here's the example. In 1991, I was just finishing up my second year in a psychiatric hospital, I was working there. And I didn't like my job. I wanted to get a different job. And I had a plan to get a different job. I started school. In fact, I was just finishing up my second year in graduate school, and things were going well. So well, in fact, that the computer science department head approached me and he says, Darryl, would you be interested in joining the Wizards group? And I was like, absolutely. And the reason I was that enthusiastic is because the Wizards were the group of students that took care of all the computers for all the students and all the professors in the computer science department. They were like the geekiest of the geeks on campus. And it was a high honor to be a part of the Wizards group. So the Wizards were led by this guy named Tom. He wore long hair, kind of a mountain man beard, and he liked to eat Doritos. He drank Coke. And I was a little apprehensive about joining the group because Tom was the guy who usually hand selected the Wizards. In this case, I was being suggested as a member by the department head. But Blaine, you know how, you heard the phrase two peas in the pod.
Yeah.
So as soon as I joined the Wizards, I saw that Tom and I were the opposite of that. And we bumped heads on a lot of different things. I didn't like the computer science tasks that he was giving me. And I told him, I said, hey, Tom, when are you going to give me something useful to do? And I think I offended him pretty badly by that. Our differences didn't end just there. He liked it dark in the office. I liked it light. You know, he liked office refreshments of Doritos and Coke. I was into bodybuilding back then, so I was more interested in protein powder, milk. We disagreed, you know, even on political stuff. He was really into environmental issues and saving the fish and animals, and I was a computer guy, or actually computer guy interested in bodybuilding. I wanted protein, so I was more interested in eating the fish and the animals. Didn't care about the whole conservation thing. So one day he calls me to his office. This all came to a head. He calls me to his office. I walk in there. It's dim, you know, it's only lit by the glow of the computer screen. He had a lava lamp on the desk, half-drunk bottle of Coke. And it smelled, you know, smelled like Doritos in there, of course. And anyway, our conversation ended with him going, Darryl, it's not working out. I'm going to let you go. And just like that, the whole wizard thing was gone. It's like, poof, my wizardly powers were gone. And so my hopes for getting for that quick job change were kind of dimmed, and my confidence as a computer science, it was dented, and I was devastated by that. Well, fast forward a couple of decades, and I'm being called into a quarterly meeting with a client. The client says, Darryl, your technical skills are top notch, and your people skills are fantastic. We get repeated calls for your services. It makes us a lot of money. For that reason, we'll give you 5 out of 5 stars. We want you to be the lead of our technical team. So Blaine, what do you think made the difference between me getting canned as a wizard and me getting those kudos as a consultant?
Well, fast forwarding about 2 decades, I would assume it's your experience and just all the challenges that you've had to overcome in the meantime.
Yes, yes, yes. And one of those challenges was that wizard thing. What happened after that wizard thing happened, that debacle, I kind of, as time went on, I looked back at that and I figured that if in addition to my technical skills, I worked on people skills, that Tom and I would have gotten along better. I thought that a lot of the reason that Tom and I didn't get along was my fault. So if my people skills had been sharper, I think Tom and I would have gotten along better, and it would have given me a better chance of hanging on to that wizard position. So I started putting a lot of time into working on and developing interpersonal skills. And I read dozens of books like Dale Carnegie's How to Influence and Influence People. There's a book called The Art of Persuasion by Bob Berg. There's a book called How to Have Confidence and Power in Dealing with People by Les Giblin. Books like that. I spent thousands of dollars in training over the years, and I bottled this up, or condensed what I learned into 2 categories of skills. And those skills made the difference, really. They were kind of the thing I think that put me over the top as an IT consultant. It made that difference between the wizard position and the consulting position. And Blaine, I put those in a document. I'll make that document available to you. I think that could help anyone to go over the top, to be an over the top consultant or salesperson. And I have that in the document again. I'll make that available to you through email.
Great, awesome. So just, you know, we've got just a few minutes left. So, and I love this because, you know, we see a lot of those late night infomercials and those cheesy commercials where it's the guy with the beer belly, and then you know, he's a muscle man, macho man, and then they throw a little bottle of pills.
Right.
There you go.
Right.
And so
Right.
that really is kind of following the then, now, how. And I think for someone like me who often falls into the result versus showing the benefits, I think that's very helpful. Then, now, how. Because
Right.
so many of us have been kind of beat over the head by our sales manager that we buy into not the benefit, but the results. This is a superior product. This will do this. This will do that. And it's so much better than what our competitors have. But the end user, the consumer, they don't care about any of that.
They don't. They don't. And you think about that story I just told, the then was the wizard thing, right? The now was the success as a consultant. The how are those principles that I bottled up.
Okay.
So this is a 5-step formula. You tell a story about then. This can be your story or your client's story.
Okay.
You tell a story about now. That's fast forward several years or months or however long it took. Then the third step, Blaine, you ask the audience what made the difference, and you want to actually interact with them. So I asked you, what do you think made the difference? All right.
Okay.
Then you describe your journey. I said that I went through thousands of dollars of training. I went through all these books. All right.
Yeah.
And then you offer that condensed product to your audience. That's the then, now, and how formula. And yes, send me your email. I'll put this down in a one-page document.
Okay.
And I'll get this to you over the weekend, the then, now, and how formula.
All right, so let me go over those steps again. So you relate your story, you talk about the now, then you ask the potential buyer what made the difference.
Yes.
You describe your journey, and then what was step 5?
Step 5 was offering the product to them.
Okay.
So I offered that bottled up formula, that 2-category formula. I said, I'll give that to you if you send me your email.
Okay.
All right. That's the problem. And so it can be a free email. It can be an actual product, So if you've developed a product, that formula that you've bottled up can be that product itself.
Okay.
So that's the then, now, and how formula. I guess we're probably almost out of time. Yes.
We got just a few minutes. Zoom was nice enough to us, and the reason why I got distracted was they said, we'll give you some more time. Okay, great. That's great.
Okay, awesome.
So,
awesome.
But let's just, and I know a lot of people need to get off here in just a couple minutes, but if we could take an example and maybe run through that, if I were selling financial services or insurance.
Yes.
Or selling a home. I've been a realtor for 20 years. How might I take that story, now, what's the difference, describe the journey, and make the offer? How might I lead people through that?
Okay. If you were, which one do you want to do? The real estate or the?
What's easiest for you? We'll do real estate, I guess.
Okay. With real estate, what are the benefits of owning a home? You're building equity, so your net worth is going up. You have a place to call your own. There's the comfort and conveniences of the house itself. The family is, has a place that they enjoy, and you paint a scene of the family being together and that type of thing. Whatever those benefits are of a house, those are actually, that's the now story that you would paint. And you would use one of your previous clients, right?
Okay.
You might say, okay, before the client worked with you, they were having trouble finding a home, or the whole home buying process was very frustrating. And you talk of their frustration and maybe before they met you, really, they had an experience where maybe an agent didn't treat them as they wanted to be treated, or just a bad experience, right? Then you fast forward to they're in a house, and that's where you tell about how they're enjoying this product, how they have a place to stay that's comfortable. They can have those dinner parties that they wanted to have, and and their son and their dog, their play out back in the backyard, and they have their swing set out there or a playground or whatever, and they're just loving this house, right? That's the now. The how, you might ask the client, so then you ask the client, what do you think made the difference between their frustrating experience and this great end result? And the client might say, well, you're the agent. Or the client might say, well, they bought a house or something like that. You can say, let's see, something that's unique or that you feel is unique to you. You can say, well, the difference is we take our clients through a 3-step or 4-step process to ensure that they're getting the home that meets their needs, that is going to meet their needs both as a family, it's going to meet their needs financially, and this process is unique to what I do. And
okay,
this process has been developed over the course of 20 years. Our company's put this together over the course of 20 years, and lots of research has gone into this, and to get started on that process, all you need to do is fill out this questionnaire, or all we need to do is why, right?
okay.
And that'd be the way you could do that in real estate.
Okay. Okay. So when you take the model of or the concept of then, now, how, he breaks it down into then is simply tell a story. Now is now, but it's kind of what you want the reality to be now.
Mm-hmm.
And then the how is ask them what made the difference. I love that. Then describe what the journey is going to look like, kind of reiterating what it was that they just said. And then, of course, the make an offer or the call to action. You don't have a sales structure at all if you don't have a call to action. That's huge.
Right. Exactly.
Awesome. Great stuff, Darryl. Well, thank you so much. And I'm gonna definitely put this thing to use. We're almost through the week, but I'm definitely gonna put it through the use within the next 10 days, just in some of my prospecting calls. So I want to say thank you so much for sharing that information. I know you have an email that we will zip to. Just get it to me, and I'll zip it to our members.
Okay.
Last word. How can we find out more about Darryl Pace and where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing next?
Email me at darryl.pace, that's P as in Paul, ACE, at techprotalk.com. TechProTalk is TechProtalk, techprotalk.com. And also, you can come to techprotalk.com, the website, and I am putting up some blogs there, blog posts, and you can see what I'm up to there as well.
Okay. Great. Awesome. Thank you so much, Darryl. Before we go, any questions from anybody, anyone else? NASP. Cindy, anybody? Nope. Okay. Well, hearing none, that's going to do us, and we'll see everybody else here in a few months as we do our next NASP quarterly. Thank you all so much for joining in. See you later.